Armed Forces provides amazing training.
I think about veterans as people who have already figured out how to serve.
My military skills have been essential.
Hiring veterans is a great business case. They're the best employees we have. They're flexible, hardworking, and they're used to a global workplace.
If that isn't an asset to any company, I don't know what is.
Hiring America, the award-winning television job fair for American veterans. Connecting you with companies who know your value. Learn about employers who are actively hiring today and organizations that support veterans. Your future success starts right here on Hiring America.
Hiring America is produced in cooperation with the VFW. No one does more for veterans.
Welcome to Hiring America, the television series that helps military veterans find jobs and transition into meaningful careers. I'm Lauren Wonko at the Hiring America and Clorox Symposium in Oakland, California. Today you're going to hear from companies that are actively recruiting veterans and from organizations who serve the military community. We're also speaking with veterans like you who've made successful transitions into the civilian workforce. We'll connect you to job openings in a wide range of fields. Log on to our website, hiringamerica.net, for more information and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram.
The process of transition can be rather intimidating and scary, in fact, for men and women who have, faced bullets and roadside bombs and put themselves willingly into harm's way. Once they leave the military, often it's very difficult to develop a vision for what's next.
The Master of Business for Veterans MBV degree is a fully accredited graduate degree awarded by University of Southern California Marshall School of Business, created specifically for military veterans, active duty, and reserve personnel. Joining me now here in Oakland, California is James Bogle, an Army veteran and the director of the MBV program. Also joining us is Eric Wong, an Air Force veteran and MBV graduate. Welcome both to Hiring America.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
James, tell us a little bit more about the program.
So we are a program that is specifically tailored for the transitioning military veteran, taking the military leadership and management experience, leveraging that by adding business language, business proficiencies, and then working a little bit to develop new competencies, essentially transitioning from one professional culture, the military, which is rather distinct, to a brand new professional culture, which is the civilian business world. And then the third aspect is our career development program, where we really help our students seal the deal, find that return on investment, and literally find new careers.
Eric, you are a graduate of the program.
I am. I graduated in the first class, so I was in attendance in 2013 and 14.
First, tell us a little bit about your military experience, and then we'll find out why you decided to join the program.
So I grew up in San Francisco. I attended San Jose State University for my undergraduate, studied business. At the same time, I was in the Reserve Officer Training Corps and commissioned into the Air Force in 2005 as a second lieutenant, and ended up being selected to become an air battle manager, performing airborne command and control and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations.
So what made you decide this program is right for me?
Came to the realization that I wanted to explore opportunities outside of the military. There were many options out there. I could have joined industry right away, having both a bachelor's and a master's degree coming out of active duty service. But I decided to really go to school and go to business school. I think the curriculum and the platform that USC built was really appealing to me, in that it was a one-year executive program where I could really use the skills that I had developed in the military, be it in leadership and operations, and kind of amplify it through USC to kind of have my breakaway into business, if you will.
What are the qualifications to apply for the program?
Sure, we look first for military leadership experience. You don't necessarily have to have commanded a battalion. If you're a squad leader, that's fine. but that's where we start. The other thing we're looking at is obviously very strong undergraduate academic performance. And then your recommendations, and we really we read the essays, and we want to see the whole person. So the Trojan family is something rather distinctive. And we look to make sure that people coming into the program have the right attitude, that they're learners, that they're contributors, that they want to be part of that Trojan family at USC and onward.
We'll be back with more of Hiring America in a moment.
Continue the conversation on our Facebook page and Twitter, and visit our website at hiringamerica.net.
Entry-level positions are rather plentiful, and young transitioning soldiers, students, they fit that profile. The biggest challenge for me is the people who've served 20 and 30 years. They don't fit the typical profile of, corporate recruiters. And so my challenge, I think, is to find the small and mid-sized companies and help make the match there.
How does the program help connect graduates to careers?
We teach them the skills to brand themselves as a product in the job marketplace, how to get their product out there, how to market themselves. And then we introduce them to industries, to companies, through personal contacts with people, we organize industry nights, we bring in guest speakers, and then we utilize a lot of the programs that are existing, like American Corporate Partners for mentorship, which is additional professional development while they're in the program. On top of that, everybody talks about networking and building a network, but at USC we have what we call, or in our MBV program specifically, we have a board of counselors. And these are a group of really exceptionally qualified and accomplished businessmen and women who want to help with this veteran transition that the MBV involves. And so they make themselves available for informational interviews with our students. We link up with a couple of networking events throughout the year, and it is really an immediately powerful network that every veteran student walking into the MBV program has available. Right now we're at about 50 of these people. They range from CEOs of large corporations down to others who are just a couple years out of graduate school. As long as they're a couple steps ahead of our graduates and they have a will to support them in that process, we love to have them.
Eric, any parallels from what you're doing now to what you were doing in the military?
Absolutely. So the huge parallel is the leadership component and also the operations and the idea that we are problem finders and problem solvers.
James, what advice would you have for those watching who are interested in pursuing the program themselves?
Make sure that the Master of Business for Veterans is the right program for them, because it is a very, very rigorous program. We deliver it like the Executive MBA, where you can still maintain your job. Classes are held on Fridays and Saturdays of every other week. So you really only have to miss every other Friday from work. But it is a very, very rigorous program. So they need to come in with obviously the level of military experience that we're looking for, a very strong undergraduate foundation, and a good quantitative foundation also. Come in with the math skills, because we work a lot in statistics and finance and accounting and those kinds of things. Come in ready to learn, come in open-minded, and come in ready for that kind of professional cultural transformation.
Thank you both for joining us here on Hiring America.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This Military Minute is brought to you by the Veterans of Foreign Wars. The VFW has a place for you.
Sergeant Chuck Dybel couldn't stand the idea of someone he didn't know risking their life for him and his family, so he decided it was his job to make that sacrifice. He enlisted in the Army in 2008 and served as an airborne ranger. When Chuck got home, he planned to finish his undergrad in political science at the University of Arizona, then on to law school. But his plans were nearly interrupted when his GI Bill just couldn't quite cover the costs. That's when the VFW stepped in with a Sport Clips Help a Hero scholarship. Help a Hero scholarships are awarded twice throughout the year, exclusively to service members and veterans, and help cover the cost of tuition and fees. So far this year, 85 veterans have received scholarships. Applications are currently being accepted for the 2016 spring semester. For more information on the Help a Hero Scholarship Program, log on to vfw.org. With his education costs covered, Sergeant Dybel can now concentrate on what's really important, his upcoming wedding to Jenna and serving his country in some other capacity.
Hiring America will be back in a moment.
When I decided to go to medical school, it was a mission. I had to do well in medical school. When I join a board, I have to do enough so that the board sees I have value and they want me to stay on the board with them. When I worked as a police officer, when all these jobs, you know, it's another mission. And I look at it and say, okay, what are the risks, what are the benefits, what's the cost, what's the benefit, how much time do I have to put in, and what do I have to do to be the best at what I'm doing? That's all from the military. So think about the skills you have that others don't have when so few percentage of people actually serve in the military. You come out ahead of most people because you have that discipline. So I would say, tell your team members, don't forget those skills you have that separate you from the masses, because it really will give you a leg up on almost any position you're in.
Dr. Richard Carmona, a high school dropout, enlisted in the U.S. Army, trained as a Special Forces medic and weapons specialist, and became a combat decorated Vietnam veteran. He went on to earn degrees with highest honor, served as the 17th U.S. Surgeon General, and is now the Vice Chairman of Canyon Ranch and a member of the Clorox Company Board of Directors. We had the opportunity to sit down with Dr. Carmona at the Hiring America and Clorox Symposium in Oakland, California.
So let's start by telling us a little bit about growing up in New York City.
Well, it was a challenge at times. My parents were immigrants, and I was the oldest of four. My mom's goal was simply to get one of her kids out of school. She only meant high school because nobody in the family had ever graduated from high school. We all failed her the first time. All of us dropped out of school. And for me, the salvation, emancipating event was going into the Army when I was 17. And you know, gave me a lot of discipline that I didn't have, taught me how to be a citizen, taught me about how to complete a mission. And so that changed my life.
And then you ended up being a decorated combat veteran. How did that feel?
So I went into the infantry, I went to jump school, I volunteered for Special Forces, and I made it, but then they told me, you can't stay because you're a high school dropout. And that forced me to get an equivalency diploma. I got a GED in the Army, then stayed in Special Forces, and you know, got to see the world and got promoted and had positions of responsibility, went to combat and saw the inequities of war and all those challenges. And so I really matured a great deal in just a few years.
How did that experience shape you both professionally and personally?
It really helped me to understand the responsibility of being a citizen in a democracy, that, you know, you take on lots of different missions. And as a young soldier, I did certain things. As I got more senior and took on the mission, wherever that mission happened to be, recognizing that you represent the United States of America in everything that you do. And so you mature with that, and you get to see different cultures, and you get to see different people. You know, by the time I was 21, I think I felt like I was about 40 with all of the experiences that I had, and yet it made me a better person.
And how did that help in your transition into the civilian workforce when you decided to make that transition?
Well, most of the jobs I've had in my whole life are based on the training I got in the military. So I was in Army Special Forces. I was a medical and a weapons specialist on a Special Forces team. But then as I went into the Reserve Forces and went to school, the only reason I got into college when I was, after return from my first combat tour, and my team was telling me, you know, you should go to college, but I knew I couldn't get in. What saved me was two high school counselors that had followed me even as I left, because when I dropped out of high school several times, they'd always saw potential in me I didn't see in myself. But the reason I got in, those counselors kept tracking me, and they didn't give up on me, and they called and found a junior college in the city that had open enrollment for combat veterans. Otherwise, I couldn't have gotten in. So none of us make it on our own. And on a team, like on our Special Forces team, we are all inextricably tied together. Our lives depend on each other in remote areas. And so there's no heroes on the team. Every mission is completed by the team, not by an individual.
Did you have a good role model early in your career?
I would say the best role model I had was my mom. She said the most important thing that she owned was her library card because it connected her to the world. And she'd go to the library every day and bring home books. She had amazing insight. She never gave up on her kids. She was all about dignity and discipline, as poor as we were. And so I would say she was probably my best mentor.
Did you ever encounter a situation where you felt like you had to break through the so-called glass ceiling in the workplace?
When you come into basic training and you get to your first assignment there, you meet a drill sergeant. That drill sergeant doesn't care what color you are, if you're rich or poor. But a couple of months later, you come out and you have a whole different view of the world. You're disciplined, you're focused, you know how to complete a mission, you understand your duty and obligation as a citizen. And so those skills then continue to move you forward. And so there's less of a glass ceiling, if you will, in the military because you continue to ascend based on your core competencies, your productivity, your leadership. And they teach you leadership in such a way that it's ingrained.
What advice would you have for a service member who's struggling with trying to figure out what their next step is?
So I think for any of those folks who are struggling, there's so many organizations. You know, the VFW is a great organization that helps our veterans. There's American Legion, there's Disabled American Veterans, you know, all of those. And almost all of us who have come through the military, you have teammates that you still keep in touch with. My Special Forces class, there's about 15 of us still above ground, and we're as close as we are today as we were decades ago because those bonds are, you know, when you serve in combat and you serve together, there's a brotherhood that's committed that if I needed something today, no matter where they are, they'd get on a plane and come to me, as I would do for them.
What advice would you have for veterans interested in transitioning into a job here at the Clorox company?
It is a fantastic company. It is just a wonderful place to work. They're very sensitive to all of the things that are important in the world today. There's great opportunity to advance, and really it's all of the values and principles you've learned in the military. You get to come to a place like this in Clorox and continue to move and be a leader.
This was a pleasure for me. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Pleasure to see you. Thank you very much.
The U.S. trucking industry has committed to hiring 100,000 veterans in the next 2 years. Military experience, regardless of MOS, is highly valued. You can find these jobs from leading employers on the website truckingtrack.org. One of the leading employers of veterans in the trucking industry is Clean Harbors.
My name is Jerry Forgy. I'm with Clean Harbors Environmental Services. I spent 6 years in the Navy between '74 and 1980. As a technical services general manager, I have responsibilities for Puerto Rico, Florida, and Georgia. And my group manages hazardous waste pickups at industrial customers, service, universities, municipalities. As we go out and package chemicals according to US, EPA, OSHA, DOT standards, and ship it for disposal and recycling at our facilities. For somebody that's coming into our industry as a driver or a chemist, typically they would come into the office, they'd get prepped for the day's work, they'd load their supplies and equipment onto a truck, go out to our customers and package the waste, and then they'd load it up and bring it back to our facility. My transition from military to civilian life was relatively easy. I knew I wanted to do something in the chemistry or environmental field, so I just jumped right into it. And the reason I chose Clean Harbors is because they are a large company with good benefits, and they provide a lot of opportunities to grow and expand in this service area.
Check out these companies and organizations actively seeking veterans. Hiring America will be back in a moment. On December 12, 2015, the trucking industry contributed their time and resources to honor our fallen heroes on National Wreaths Across America Day, transporting over 900,000 wreaths to veteran cemeteries in all 50 states. To learn more about this event, go to wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Thanks for watching. The information we've just shared is all on our website, hiringamerica.net. Log on and find out about more companies who are hiring veterans. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Lauren Wonko. Join us next week for another episode of Hiring America.
Hiring America is produced in cooperation with the VFW. No one does more for veterans. Promotional consideration provided by JetBlue, a proud employer of those who've served. This program made possible by the generous support of the following companies: